A brief history of American football. The history of American football can be traced to early versions of rugby football and association football. Both games have their origin in varieties of football played in Britain in the mid-19th century, in which a football is kicked at a goal and/or run over a line. American football resulted from several major divergences from rugby, most notably the rule changes instituted by Walter Camp, considered the father of American football. Among these important changes were the introduction of the line of scrimmage and of down and distance rules. In the late 19th and early 20th centuries, gameplay developments by college coaches such as Eddie Cockums, Amos Alonzo Stagg, Knute Rockne, and Glenn Pop Warner helped take advantage of the newly introduced forward pass. The popularity of collegiate football grew as it became the dominant version of the sport in the United States for the first half of the 20th century. Bowl games, a college football tradition, attracted a national audience for collegiate teams. Bolstered by fierce rivalries, college football still holds widespread appeal in the U.S. Times where rules were debated and changed. He proposed his first rule change at the first meeting he attended in 1878, a reduction from 15 players to 11. The motion was rejected at that time, but passed in 1880. The effect was to open up the game and emphasize speed over strength. Camp's most famous change, the establishment of the line of scrimmage in the snap from center to quarterback, was also passed in 1880. Originally, the snap was executed with the foot of the center. Later changes made it possible to snap the ball with the hands, either through the air or by a direct hand-to-hand pass. Camp's new scrimmage rules revolutionized the game, though not always as intended. Princeton, in particular, used scrimmage play to slow the game, making incremental progress towards the end zone during each down. Rather than increase scoring, which had been Camp's original intent, the rule was exploited to maintain control of the ball for the entire game, resulting in slow, unexciting contests. At the 1882 rules meeting, Camp proposed that a team be required to advance the ball a minimum of 5 yards within 3 downs. These down and distance rules, combined with the establishment of the line of scrimmage, Camp was central to several more significant rule changes that came to define American football. In 1881, the field was reduced in size to its modern dimensions of 120 by 53 and 1/3 yards, 109.7 by 48.8 meters. Several times in 1883, Camp tinkered with the scoring rules, finally arriving at 4 points for a touchdown, 2 points for kicks after touchdowns, 2 points for safeties, and 5 for field goals. In 1887, game time was set at 2 halves of 45 minutes each. Also in 1887, 2 paid officials, a referee and an umpire, were mandated for each game. A year later, the rules were changed to allow tackling below the waist, and in 1889, the officials were given whistles and stopwatches. After leaving Yale in 1882, Camp was employed by the New Haven Clock Company until his death in 1925. Though no longer a player, he remained a fixture at annual rules meetings for most of his life, and he personally selected an annual All-American team every year from 1889 through 1924. The Walter Camp Football Foundation continues to select All-American teams in his honor. Expansion in 1880 to 1904. College football expanded greatly during the last 2 decades of the 19th century. In 1880, only 8 universities fielded intercollegiate teams, but by 1900, the number had expanded to 43. Several major rivalries date from this time period. In 1879, the University of Michigan became the first school west of Pennsylvania to establish a college football team. Other Midwestern schools soon followed suit, including the University of Chicago, Northwestern University, and the University of Minnesota. The first Western team to travel east was the 1881 Michigan team, which played at Harvard, Yale, and Princeton. The nation's first college football league, the Intercollegiate Conference of Faculty Representatives, also known as the Western Conference, a precursor to the Big Ten Conference, was founded in 1895. The first ever nighttime football game was played in Mansfield, Pennsylvania on September 28, 1892 between Mansfield State Normal and Wyoming Seminary and ended at halftime in a 0-0 tie. Led by legendary coach Fielding H. Yost, Michigan became the first Western national power. From 1901 to 1905, Michigan had a 56-game undefeated streak that included a 1902 trip to play in the first college football postseason game, the Rose Bowl. During this streak, Michigan scored 2,831 points, while allowing only 40.